Hi, my name is Annie Björkström. I'm a tech consultant based in Stockholm, and in this tutorial I will show you how to use N8N to scrape information from Upwork. We will use Apify to achieve this task. If we go to Apify, you can see that you get $5 free credit every single month, and from there you can go to Apify store and search for agent or scraper that you want to use. Because we will scrape Upwork, we will search for Upwork here, and you can see that there are different agents that you can use. You can just feel free to choose any of those. Be very careful that you are not giving your session information, because that can be dangerous and your profile can be corrupted. I will go with Upwork Instructor, mainly because this is giving 7 days free trial, and I will use this agent for 7 days, and then after that I will decide if it's worth $30 for a month or not. So in here you can see that we have some type of search criteria. The first one is where we define which type of keywords we want to search in Upwork. I will be looking for N8N job, so that's why I will enter N8N. You can define what is the keyword for the job that you are trying to find, and then after that you have the limit, which will specify how many rows or outputs you want to get back from Upwork. In this case it will be how many jobs I want to get back from N8N, and 5 is fine for this because more rows you have, more credits you will use, and I want to save my credits, so I will just decide on 5. And then underneath that you have sorting. This is if you want the result to be sorted before it will be returned, and I want to sort it by newest because I want to get the latest jobs. And then if you go down, there are other options as well. You can, for example, define a budget, hourly rate, and so on. After that you can save it. You can see that I have already saved this information. So if you go to the next tab that is called JSON, here you can see exactly the same information that we had under manual tab, but under JSON you can see the code-based information, and this is what we will need to use in our HTTP request in N8N. So you will just copy this information from here, and then you will go back to your N8N template. And if we open HTTP request, from there we can see that there is body content type. You should choose JSON and then specify body. We'll be using JSON, and from there you can see JSON. Then you can decide which are values that you will be changing every time you run this search. So for me it will be the limit. Maybe next time when I try to scrape Upwork, I want to get the newest 100 jobs, then I want to, in that case, change 5 with 100. So that's why I will specify that as a variable. Then also when it comes to the keywords, right now I specified N8N, but maybe next time I want to search for make, for example. So that's why I specify this one as a variable. And then also the newest, maybe next time I will define relevant as the sorting criteria. So those ones are the ones that I want to specify as variable and change every time I run my N8N workflow. And in order to do those, I will create a form submission. If I double click on this, here you can see that what I will do, I will specify all of those 3 values as variables. And by variables I mean that every single time when I run my N8N templates, I need to enter those values for every single run via this form. So here I will specify then a job title, which is basically the query in Upwork. You can come here and just double check that one here, so this one. And then if I go back again, under that one we will just decide the limit. Again we will map this with value in Upwork. You can see that the limit one is corresponding to this, and coming back to N8N, here we also have the sort one, and coming back to Upwork we can see that the sort one is the newest here. So those ones we will specify as variables in the form. And let's try now to test this. If I do, for example, execute step, You can see that the form will be opened, and here we can write whatever we like. For example, we can just write software engineer or whatever it is that we are trying to search. But I will write N8N, and the limit for me can be 6, and then the sort I will write newest. And let's just submit this form, and we can see that as soon as we submit the form, this information was saved in N8N. And in the next step, where we have our HTTP request, it will be sent to Upwork's API. But before we send this to Upwork API, we need to know which URL from Upwork should we use. So if I go to our agent here, we can go to integration, and under integration we will choose endpoints, and you can see use API endpoints. From here you can see there are different types of endpoints, and we will use run actor synchronously and get dataset items. When we do that, we can see the response about all the jobs from Upwork. And in the next step, what we want to do is that we want to map this information with Google Sheet, and we want to save this information into Google Sheet. You can map as many fields as you like. You can see that Upwork is returning a lot of different fields, but for me what is important is ID, and then publish at job URL and description, because then with the job URL you can click on and read more about that. So I want to see the newest published jobs and description about the job. Now let's come out of this, and we can try to execute this workflow. If we click on execute workflow, here we can specify N8N, and the limit will be 5, sort will be newest, and we will click on submit button, and then we can see that workflow is starting to execute. We can basically just minimize this one, and we have success. We can see that it first sent an HTTP request, and then after that we can see that the information we got from Upwork via Apify was saved in Google Sheet. So if we go to our Google Sheet form in here, we can see that we have results saved in this Google Sheet, and we also have the endpoints to different Upwork jobs. If we click on those endpoints, jobs will be opening, but you can see that N8N expert needed to fix WhatsApp by agent workflow error. Amazing. So the workflow is working, and if you like to get this workflow for free, just like this video and comment N8N.